This is my right of reply to all those that doubt me. Right. Okay, so yesterday I put up a highly controversial poll on my community posts thingy, right? Some of you seen it, some of you voted on it, and some of you commented on it, right? It was highly controversial, and I knew it was going to be controversial before I posted it, and I was actually scared of posting it in the first place for this very reason, for what people might think and, you know, the controversy. But, however, there was an actual reason why I posted it, and a reason why I was asking the question, right? So the posting question was this. So I said, with pictures by the way, I asked the question, in your opinion, which item would be more attractive to a predator should it be worn by a child, toddler or baby? And I put a picture of underwear, a picture of nappies or diapers, and then the third option was both. And some people responded. It kind of went the way I thought it would probably do. A lot of people said both, not because people think that way. Mainly because I think people assume there's a reason why I put a third option. So I think that's why people vote for that personally. Maybe that is their opinion. Don't know. Anyway, it wasn't that got my attention in the end, though. It was the backlash afterwards, which I was not expecting. I knew it was a controversial post, but I wasn't expecting the level of backlash I actually got. And I want to take you through some of the comments that were there. I've blacked out all the names, so everybody is anonymous. I've deleted the poll in the end, by the way, not because of the backlash, but because I really had the answer to it that I was hoping for. I was intending doing a video on it anyway, but I wasn't intending doing it about the backlash that I got from it, and I want to explain to everybody why I did the post in the first place. This person said, as a survivor of SA as a child, I have to refrain, I'm afraid. And that took me aback a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Then what a sick question to ask. It's not really a sick question if you think about why I'm asking the question. Motives are obviously very important here. Now, I'm not asking it for sick minds. Clearly, I'm asking it based on the things that I talk about on my channel. We'll get into it in a second. No offence, but this question does not make me comfortable, so I won't answer. As a survivor myself, it's a trigger, and secondly, only those who think that way and with very warped minds could possibly give an answer to this question. And this may sound strange, but I feel this question could get this page the wrong kind of attention, because there are those out there who would get a sick, twisted thrill on answering this question in the kindest way. I personally feel you should remove this post. Now, the problem here is that what you said is hitting the nail on the head. How can anybody on this page possibly know how a predator thinks, basically, is what you're asking. How can you figure out what they see as being more attractive, because you're not one of them, obviously. And the issue with society is that people can't think what somebody else is thinking, and you need to think about what other people are thinking, otherwise you're not going to be able to protect your children. And this is what we're up against, talking about family vloggers and the likes. How can anyone who does not have the mind of a predator possibly answer? This is a very odd question. I think you should give a clue as to why you are asking, or take it down. Well, it's not an odd question to ask at all. There was many people also feeling very uncomfortable by my questioning. I'm sorry about that. I think you need to remove this post now. It's not going to do your channel any favors. At this point, I was very confused about the backlash. And then finally we had, it's almost impossible for your audience to answer this. Generally speaking, your viewers are decent people who can't think like a pervert or predator. Okay, so that, right, is... you can see quite a few people have commented along those lines. You can't think like one, so how are you supposed to answer that question? Now, the reason I put the question up in the first place was because people don't tend to take posting naked babies just wearing nappies seriously, right? People, in my view, people take it as it's innocent, right? And obviously it is innocent, but you wouldn't say the same, for example, if it was a toddler in underwear or an older girl in underwear. You see what I mean? But when I talk about babies in nappies, nobody talks about it, nobody responds to it, nobody takes it seriously, because generally I think that most people don't think it's a problem. They don't think it's a thing. They don't think that's what predators are looking for. Now, they do. There's so many different types of predators out there, and babies is one of their things, right? Whether you like it or not, that's what happens. So I'm trying to understand why people don't think it's a problem and why people do not want to talk about it. And I kind of understand why they don't want to talk about it, or they'd rather live in ignorance. Now, I asked the question to try and provoke a response. I wanted to do a video on it, and I wanted to explain to people why it's a problem and get people to understand it. Because whenever I talk about this issue on my channel, nobody listens. Literally nobody listens. I went back to a video I did months ago, and it was of... There was an incident whereby I think it was Aurora was just in her nappies, and it was a horrible shot, a very bad angle to be showing. Obviously I cut it out, but I talked about it, and some of you will have seen it because you watch it on their channel or elsewhere. And I talked about it at length because I was angry about it. And I looked through the comments on that video, and not one single person mentioned it. There was not one. There was like 200 odd comments. Not one comment responded to the point I was making. So it either leads me to the conclusion that nobody cares, or that nobody understands. So I was asking that question yesterday to try and gauge what people thought. And it is... I understand when people say that they can't put their minds in, or they can't put themselves in the minds of a predator because they don't think like that. But the problem is you have to in order to protect your children. You have to understand how they think so that you can not put your child in that position. Because yes, obviously that none of you would think like they do, but you have to understand. So when, for example, when we call out Chris Ingham for putting his kids at risk or put them in, filming them in compromising positions, he might think that they are innocent shots because they are just his kids that he's doing like an innocent picture of, and and he's not thinking that way, right? But he has to look at who his viewers are and think what they think. Now that's called putting yourself in their shoes. So he has to understand how a predator might be looking at his kids. Now we can look at any picture and think that's an innocent picture of my child, but in the wrong hands, that's not innocent. And that's why those who said you can't think how a predator thinks because you're not them, I don't agree with that, because you have to think about these things when you post things. And this doesn't just apply to family vloggers, this applies to everybody who posts their kids online. I've seen some horrendous pictures, and this was provoked by a particular page that I saw recently, and I was horrified of the posing of their baby. And it's the fact that nobody called them out for the how the baby was filmed. It's a societal problem, I feel. People see an adorable little baby, but they don't see how that would look in the wrong hands. They don't see how wrong it actually is. And there's so many people, non-influencers, just general public, who post their pictures on Facebook every day. Sometimes it's public and sometimes it's not, but even if it's not public and it's just to friends and family, it really shouldn't be posted anyway. The best way to protect your children is to not post them. It's not essential that you post your kids on social media. It's not essential that you do that, even for friends to see. If you want your friend or your family to see them, just send them a picture. It, privately, doesn't need to be public or semi-public. So yeah, that was my that was a reason for that post. I don't know if I made an awful lot of sense in this video. I hope I've given a good account of my views and an explanation. But yeah, that was the reason. It was no nefarious reasons whatsoever. It wasn't a sick question at all. My channel is focused on talking about these situations and bringing awareness to it. The people that said that they didn't feel comfortable with the question, the problem here is that I'm going to talk about those situations on this channel because that's what this channel is supposed to be all about, right? So I'm not going to not talk about them because they're uncomfortable for people. The reason why you're here is in order to protect children and raise awareness. And if you didn't already know that these things were a problem being posted, then I'm doing my job because I'm telling you now. And by posting that uncomfortable post, it's giving you an awareness that this is a problem. So I hope I'm doing some good, but time will tell. Anyway, yes, thank you all so much. I don't expect there'll be many comments on this video. People will be a bit scared. But if you would like to leave your comments down below, please do. Thank you all so much. Subscribe to the channel if you're not too scared about that either. Until next time, have a lovely day. Take care and bye-bye.